Welcome back to Friday Flair, everybody. It is time for the Champions League. It is upon us, and I am so excited. I am so looking forward to this season in the Champions League. Arsenal are in it, competing, look like they've got a competitive squad for the tournament, as well as a new format, which seems to be bringing a lot of excitement as well. So I'm really looking forward to what this season brings and what it means for the tournament as a whole, and what it means for some of these lower league teams that are competing and striving for Champions League glory. Is it going to be easier? Is it going to be more difficult? Very excited to see what this means moving forward for the Champions League. But without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's get right into it. The first club, and somebody has to finish bottom. I'm sorry, but it's going to be you, Slovan Bratislava. You're going to finish on 0 points. But don't worry. I did not leave you alone in that category. We've got two more. Garaz are going to finish bottom. They're not going to get a single win, and neither will Red Star Belgrade. Red Star as well. But I do have 36th, 35th, and 34th in that order based on goal difference. I don't think any of these teams are going to be very competitive whatsoever. And I would be so unbelievably surprised if any of them make it out of the league stage, excuse me. And that's nothing against them, of course, but it's just that their teams just are not built to compete in this Champions League stage currently. And I don't see them. They have very difficult runs of games. And so that's kind of why I obviously had to pick them to be the team to get eliminated. First three teams to get eliminated. Moving into our 33rd position, a team that's going to finish on just 1 point, and they're going to pick up that singular point on the opening match of the tournament. It's going to be Sparta Prague with 1 point. As I mentioned, they're going to pick up a point against Red Bull Salzburg, and that's going to be the only point they pick up in the tournament. It's going to be a game at home for them. So, a home crowd, first match of the Champions League, they're going to pick up a point, but that's going to be all they pick up throughout the tournament. Up next, we've got another team that's going to pick up 2 draws, not do much, not even have any really talented young players come through that are really going to shine on this stage. It's going to be Shakhtar. I'm got them getting 2 points. I don't see them doing much else. 2 draws and not much else to talk about otherwise. They're going to pick up those 2 draws in week 4 and week 7, but that's going to be it for Shakhtar. Next club we've already talked about, Red Bull Salzburg drawing against Sparta Prague. They will draw 2 more matches, and it'll be 3 straight to open it, round 1, round 2, round 3, and then they will be lose 5 straight on the bounce, which is why I have them getting eliminated as well. Next club we have coming out of Belgian Giants, Club Bruges. I don't think are going to do too much. We're going to give them 4 points, though. They're going to pick up a win in week 2 and a draw in week 5, but that's going to be about it. I don't see very much else. There could be a possibility, very slim chance, they pull off a big upset win against the team. Maybe pick up another draw, end up on 8 points. Maybe if they get their goal difference their way, a few other results go their way, they could end up in a playoff position. We're going to talk about my teams in those lower playoff positions here in a minute. But of course, Club Bruges, I do think if there is a team that is eliminated, I do think it's them that's going to be able to make it into a playoff position. So I've got them currently in 30th position, but I could see them making a break. Interestingly, 6 places up because it's so unbelievably tight. Looking at these results, I've went to every single match, just so you guys are aware. I looked at every single Champions League match and picked a result for every single one in order to get every team's points tally and position in the table. I've had to make sure that it was obviously mathematically possible for the teams to finish where they do, and so that's why we had to go predict every single match and throughout the tournament. Up next, we've got a team just 5 points, and maybe a generous 5 points, to be quite honest with you, Young Boys. I have finishing in 29th position, and just above them on 1 point higher with 6 points is Celtic. I have Celtic, though, 1 win, 3 draws. They're going to lose just 4 matches, but it's not going to be enough anyways because they're not picking up the points in those draws. I think that they will just come up short with 6 points. First team coming from a top 5 league in Europe is going to be Lille. I do think Lille get eliminated in the league phase again. I don't see them having a super strong team. I see them getting kind of difficult matches in their league phase. A team that we were going to talk about next also has a very difficult run in, but actually has while it is difficult, it is a much more favorable run in for them. Stade Brestois. We're going to go with just one spot above Lille. Obviously, Lille probably have the better squad and probably would win a head-to-head match, but I do think Brestois have just a much more favorable run of games. And now the last team missing out on a position in the playoff matches is going to be Dynamo. Dynamo Zagreb. I would love to be able to put them in this list. I would love to be able to put them in the playoff spot, but I just cannot find a way that they beat the team that I have here. And just so we're clear, Brestois I have on 8 points in 26th. I have Dynamo on 8 points in 25th. And then I have this team in 24th position, Feyenoord on 8 points as well. Just getting through. I have them picking up a few 2 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses as well. So, not the best run of games for Feyenoord, but it's enough to get them through, and I think that that's all that's going to matter to them. Now we've got 3 teams on 9 points, and this is, again, going to be on goal difference, and another French team. I think the French teams are really going to disappoint this year. They haven't had success previously. I don't see them having success overnight. Monaco, I've got in 23rd position. Up next, we've got just above Monaco on the point difference is coming 2 teams that you don't not commonly see in the Champions League. Don't commonly see them in Europe at all. Is Bologna and Girona. I do see Bologna and Girona just winning ahead of Monaco on goal difference. But again, they all managed to survive. Given Girona and Bologna's departures, obviously players like Calafiori for Bologna, and then you got Alex Garcia moving to Leverkusen. You've got Savinho leaving Girona for Manchester City. So I think that those are favorable spots for them. And I think they'll be happy with what that looks like. Up next, and our first team on 10 points is going to be, actually our only team on 10 points is Aston Villa, finishing in 20th place. So rounding out the top 20, we've got Aston Villa, our first English Premier League team. And now that the only country that hasn't been represented in this is the Bundesliga. So we have Bundesliga teams as well, obviously, that haven't been mentioned thus far. Now our next pick is going to be moving along to Liga NOS, the Portuguese league. I've got Sporting ahead just on 11 points, but it'll be average at best. However, it'll be a very average league phase for Sporting. 3 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses. But I do think there is potential for Sporting to pull off an upset in the playoff. I think that there's one team that's going to go and win a playoff match. It's going to be Sporting Club. I do think that they do have a favorable opportunity here, given their, the squad they have, the talent in Portugal. I think Sporting could pull off an upset against whoever they would be seeded against. I'm not quite sure who they would be seeded against. But let's move along to our next club, a team that's going to be very disappointed with this positioning. On 12 points with 4 wins, it's going to be Inter Milan. I don't think Inter Milan are going to look very good. I know they just won the Italian league, but they just don't move. I'm not moved by when I look at that Inter Milan team. I don't think that they're very impressive whatsoever. The next club we're going to recognize is Stuttgart. First German team, as I mentioned. I do think that this may come as a surprise, given that they're above Inter Milan, they're above Aston Villa, they're above other clubs. Feyenoord is a big team in the Dutch league, and just Stuttgart is above them. I just think that Stuttgart have a very favorable draw and plenty of opportunities to go secure points, whether at home or on the road this year in the Champions League. And I think that their crowd will help them a ton at home during this Champions League run. Now that we've labeled all of our non-seeded playoff teams, we've got our seeded playoff teams, and rounding out in 16th position, we've got PSV. I've got PSV there because I just think they're one of the strongest squads in the Dutch league. I think that they have a fantastic team. The reason I put Feyenoord where they are is because they just lost Arne Slot. Obviously, PSV, I think, have managed to keep their manager and are easily the strongest team this season going into the Dutch league. Just kind of in this beginning of the season, I would say that they're the strongest team there. And I think that they just have an opportunity here to really make waves. They're the one of two remaining teams in the, or one of two non-top 5 league teams that I have making it as a seeded playoff team. So on 13 points, beating Stuttgart on goal difference, I have PSV. Now they're tied with two other teams on goal difference. The Europa League winners, Atalanta, I do see finishing in about 15th place. So rounding out our top 15 will be the Atalanta. And now in 14th position, again tied on 13 points. It'll be a very, very lackluster campaign considering how much they just spent in the transfer market. Atletico Madrid. It'll be a very, I think it's a very mid team. I think they brought in some firepower, Julian Alvarez. But is it enough? I don't think so. Now up next, we've got another German team in Leipzig finishing in 14 points. So again, now we're up another point tally, 13th position. That is, it's going to be Leipzig. And again, mid. I think that they're a very average team, but I do think I think they're a very average team, but I think they're a very good average team, if that makes sense. I don't see them doing, making waves. I don't see it being entertaining at all like I'm used to with Leipzig. I think it'll be kind of boring, and I do see them pulling out a pretty comfortable 13th place finish in the league phase. Up next, I have two teams I've already actually done a video on. We've got Benfica in 12th place, and then we've got AC Milan in 11th, both finishing on 16 points. I mentioned it in my video. Go check it out. There's going to be a card on whichever side. I don't know which side it's going to be. And there's going to be a card in the corner of the video, top right corner of the video. Go check out that video. You'll be able to see my analysis of Benfica and AC Milan, as well as a team that I have in the auto qualification spot that you will have to wait to find out who that is. Or you can just go click on the video right now because there'll be an option to click on that. But obviously I want you to stick around for this one. Now, a team that may surprise a lot of people, I've got PSG at 10th. I don't think that they'll have a very special, I don't think they have a very special squad. And I just think there'll be shaky performances during the league stage. I think they'll stumble into a playoff spot. I think they'll reach the round of 16 without any problem. I think whoever they play in the playoff will be pretty comfortable win. And then they'll move on to the round of 16 and not have any concern there. Now, the team that I have, and as well as PSG on 16 points, similar to AC Milan and Benfica. Now, our last team missing out on auto qualification for the round of 16, it's going to be disappointing. They're going to miss out on goal difference on 17 points. It's going to be Barcelona. And the reason it's going to be so disappointing for Barcelona is because they're going to lose on goal difference to their rivals. I've got Real Madrid finishing in 8th as well. Possibly a hot take because of how good Real Madrid traditionally are in the Champions League. But I do think they're the first team making the top 8, meaning they are into the round of 16. Up next, in 7th place, just 1 point ahead on 18. Without losing a match, they're going to go in the 8 matches. They're going to go, 5 wins and 3 draws. Is going to be Borussia Dortmund. I think Dortmund finish in 7th. I don't think they lose a match. I think they have a very favorable draw. I think they will go and perform on the big stage. Very solid squad. Adeyemi remains. Julian Brandt. I think that they just maybe need one player to really step up as an attacker, with Niklas Füllkrug obviously leaving and players like that. Somebody needs to step up. But other than that, I think they've got a very good squad surrounding that team. Now in the 6th position, we have another German team, Bayer Leverkusen. And if you want to go check out what I have to say about them, I've already discussed it in the previous video. They're the 3rd team that I picked as a dark horse. I think Leverkusen easily could go and win the whole thing. I think they can make a semifinal at the minimum. I think they are a very, very strong side, but I don't think their draw is as favorable as some other teams, or the team is not to the level in the league stage. I think they'll be much better in the second half of the season once some of these new players at Leverkusen are able to settle in and they're able to maybe work out some of the kinks in the defense. Up next, I have Arsenal. And Arsenal I have finishing in 5th on 20 points. I think they draw with PSG and they draw away to Inter as well. I think Inter Milan managed to pull a draw against Arsenal. Obviously, despite finishing all the way down in 18th position. But I do think that Arsenal comfortably finish in 5th place. Now, moving in further to our top five. In fourth position, I have Juventus, and a team that I have just missed losing one game, and it's going to be to Manchester City in week 6. I think that Juventus are going to mop the floor outside of that, finishing on 21 points. Up next in the league phase, finishing third, I've got Liverpool. I think other than a draw away to Girona, I think when they've already kind of won 5 in a row, they look like they're going to make it into auto qualification. I think they maybe slip up, draw to Girona, maybe while rotating the squad around Christmas time. That game will be played close to mid-December, so you could see slot rotate the squad and then drop points there potentially. So that's why I've got Liverpool finishing on 22 points. And then our last two teams both finishing on 24 points. Yawn, boring, easy, 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 yada, yada, yada. Manchester City second, and then Bayern Munich in first. I think Bayern Munich probably just is higher on goal difference. Not that either place will matter really when it comes to the round of 16, but Manchester City and Bayern Munich round out your top two. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Where do you see teams finishing? Did I get it all wrong? Am I spot on? Where are your thoughts with this? I know Bayer Leverkusen may be a shout that maybe not many people see. I did pick them as a dark horse, as we mentioned. Dortmund going after a Champions League defeat, going and finishing, just 7th in qualification. Or do you not expect them to bounce back from a Champions League qualification? Do you expect them to finish in a playoff spot? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoy videos like this where I talk about, things like tier makers like this, or if I talk about, more in-depth analysis, be sure to subscribe. We do the breakdown every Tuesday where we go in depth with analysis, and then every Friday we do something fun like this where we do predictions or we do rankings or things like that. But anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.